I am a diagnosed narcissist, so I have experienced this exact phenomenon right here.
You can just tell when like they don't know how to handle conflict as adults. They don't know how to maneuver life as adults because everything is like high school, middle school drama. Every time.
Arrested development refers to a halt in emotional, mental, or psychological growth. This means an individual may be stuck at a certain stage of development and their behavior, emotional processes, responses, or thought patterns may be more characteristic of a child stage than their
I
actual
know
age.
so many people like that.
So just
So
kind of
many
like a
people.
lack of maturity or in certain areas.
In a nutshell, they haven't developed in a way that is more akin to an adult. Or whatever their actual age is. You know what I
Right, you're
mean?
in
But
that
like if
process.
you're, 25, 26,
There's
but you
certain
may be,
signs that you should be like, there's certain marks that you should be hitting emotionally,
yeah, and how you think
intellectually.
about things, how you process things, those things should be more mature. They should be more based on your ideals, keeping order of things and being respectful of, all parties, rather than it being very self-centered as a child would.
Word.
Yo, when I hear arrested development, you know who I think about immediately? People that are in the streets. People that are in the streets fighting and risking their lives over colors. Or people that are throwing up hand signals to signify the group they're in. Like when I see the street culture, I'm like, bro, you really never matured into how an adult is supposed to emotionally break down a situation. So y'all are all just reacting off of pure emotions, off of wounds, emotional wounds, but y'all never fix them. And now y'all are all around each other, just getting active, just emotional people just having temper tantrums outside. You never grew out of the childlike mindset that you had when you was younger and how you used to deal with your emotions, or maybe you had to bottle up your emotions as a child and the only way you was able to express it was anger, but you never learned how to control your emotions. So now all of y'all are in the streets and y'all think y'all are fighting for something, but y'all are really just all fighting off of emotion. Thug, traumatic human, unable to grieve. That's what I read in a book, and it sticks out to me every time I think about it. Y'all have been traumatized, and instead of using your adult mind to grieve of whatever you was going through, whatever you seen growing up, or whatever your dad not being there, or your mom just, lacking in a certain place, or whatever it was, seeing death early, whatever it was, you never grieved properly over that. So that trauma controls what you do in life along with your neighbors. So now you have created groups amongst your trauma and you fight trauma to trauma. Instead of, no, I need to learn how to deal with this in a different way. I've been doing this since I was 17 years old and now I'm 47. There's no reason why I'm seeing it up on the internet talking about I own this street and I don't own nothing on this street.
Arrested development is
real quick. I'm always looking for a new side hustle. And I think I just found one of the easiest ways to make money online by playing games on your phone. There are companies out here that are paying people just to play games on your phone, to review certain episodes on Netflix, crazy things like that. So I actually found a website. I looked up the reviews. The reviews look legit. So I'm going to share that with you guys. You can either scan this QR code or click the link in the description below or the link in the comments below. When you sign up with my link, you start out with a free $5 just off the rip. So these people are basically handing out money. If I was you, when you take your money out, just take it out with PayPal because that's always the safest way to protect yourself. I would definitely say try this out because all you're doing is playing games on your phone. And I know some people don't like to play games on their phone. That's damn near free money at that point. An extra $100 could pay a bill or two. So just try it out for yourself.
because to cultivate their communities, the reason as to why a lot of people are stuck in arrested development is because to cultivate their communities, to cultivate their own personalities, they're still using high school and middle school tactics that they learned to formulate their first communities away from their family and away from their family dynamics, which is why I think that a lot of people are stuck in arrested development. If you have to cultivate your community around being mean or belittling somebody outside to feel a sense of belonging, you are stuck in arrested development. We all know that kids are naturally mean, but they learn that based off of the interactions that they have, especially in high school. Kids are mean, but they are mean because they are copying and mocking the other people that they want to find a sense of belonging with, right? You adults are mean for the same reason. You want to find a sense of belonging within other people that you want to cultivate a community with. So you do things like degrade somebody, gossip about somebody. You know what I'm saying? Just try to find things to belittle somebody about instead of working inwardly with yourself or within yourself to structuralize a sense of self-confidence, to understand that you don't have to belittle somebody outside of you to create a foundational community. But because you haven't unconditioned yourself from that high school mentality of having to bully other people who are not like you to feel a sense of belonging, that is what you do, and that is what you opt to do. A lot of people are stuck in arrested development. They have not developed their emotional capacity to understand that there are different ways to cultivate community. Instead of somebody just being okay with being in their own energy, you find it abnormal because you need a sense of belonging, and you will try to bully or badger that person for just being okay with being by themselves. People are really stuck in arrested development, but because a lot of people are not working towards expanding their emotional development, they will be stuck that way for life, and you cannot fix those people, which is why a lot of the people that are cool as hell are by themselves. The reason as to why
And this is why a lot of times I say, man, age doesn't really matter sometimes. Like, because there's a lot of people with old ages because of time, but they never really matured out of an old way of thinking. Too many people believe that maturity, like age and maturity just come together. Because I'm older, I'm smarter than you. Because I'm older, I'm automatically mature. No, it is an effort that you have to make towards maturity, towards maturing past what you used to think. But what I've seen, and I remember the first time I realized this was when I was 20. I was 20 years old and I was working in a warehouse. And that was my first adult job. Prior to that, I worked like at a coffee shop, a cell phone kiosk, McDonald's. I worked at my college campus. Now, I mean, but this was my first job where I was really working with adults. And it was just like high school, working in a warehouse. I mean, it married people and all. Like, it was just, I'm like, yo, there's no way y'all talk about the same things we talk about. Now, I mean, I'm fresh out of high school at the time, so I still have my high school brain a little bit. But these people literally operate. It was like a what do you call that? A break room. It was just like the lunchroom. The conversations that go through the warehouse, the drama, everything. What I realized is that a lot of people just got older. They never put effort into growing from who they were. They just got older. Their responsibilities just started compiling because you're older now. You have to do the older thing in your actions, but mentally you're still thinking like a child. And those are the hardest people to deal with because you expect them to get it because they're older. So when people say things like, yeah, well, you know, because of how old I am, you're 50, but what kind of 50 are you? What kind of work did you do on yourself on your way to 50? Because just saying you're 50 does not say you're wise. Just saying you're 50 does not say you're mature. That says that you have experienced a lot in life. But if you have not learned from what you've experienced in life, more than likely you just repeated it. And now you're 50 getting ready to repeat it to me because I'm younger than you. But now if I'm looking at somebody else that's 50 and I'm like, man, how did he do it? And I'm learning from him. And then I come to you and you give me your regurgitated mistakes in life that you never changed and tell me I'm wrong because I'm young, but I've learned something that you should have learned from somebody else or a book or whatever. You can't give me age. You can't give me age if you have not done the work, and I'm actively doing the work that you've never done just because you've been on earth longer than me. Nah, bro.
Means an individual may be stuck at a certain stage of development refers to a halt in emotional, mental, or psychological growth. This means an individual may be stuck at a certain stage of development and their behavior, emotional processes, responses, or thought patterns may be more characteristic of a child stage than their actual age.
So just kind of like a lack of maturity or in certain areas.
In a nutshell, they haven't developed in a way that is more akin to an adult, or whatever their actual development refers to a halt in emotional.
It's a little crazy when you ain't got like the right music playing in the back. It looked like they really like looking at him as an experiment or something. It's something just in the corner, like it's really one of those moments. Like cut the music off. What are you doing? What was this? What was this? I don't want to disrespect nobody. Crazy.
You can always tell the women that never developed mentally or emotionally or matured past grade school age, or haven't gotten past grade school behaviors or mentality, sort of like an arrested development, by the way that they handle conflict with other adults, because you can tell in the way they handle it, because they handle it like they're in grade school. For example, normal adults, when there's a difference, when you're not getting along with another adult, you either talk about it like adults and, an argument may ensue, but you just always come to a point where it's either we don't agree and we go our separate ways, or, hey, we can work this through and let's communicate and let's figure it out. Little girls, little children, when they're having conflict with somebody, instead of just taking it for what it is and then moving on, or like handling maturely, this is what they do. They get into the argument with the person, and then they'll go to somebody else and go, I don't like that person. Did you know she was a dirty hoe? Did you know she did this and that? And start rumors. That
escalated.
6th grade at most. You can just tell when they don't know how to handle conflict as adults. They don't know how to maneuver life as adults, because everything is like high school, middle school drama. Every time.
That's the scariest part about people that suffer with arrested development. They genuinely don't know how to do the thing you're expecting of them. Genuinely. Like, imagine if you never went to a math class in your life. Somebody shows you 2 + 2 at the age of 30, and you've never done a math class. You're going to be like, yo, what is this? And they're like, yo, how don't you know what put the 2 deuces up and add it up. What is that? I don't know. Like, bro, it is what it is. Like, it's just variables. It's something I'm looking at. You probably can't even say variables. They genuinely don't know the thing that we want them to know. And this is why work is very necessary. Age and time doesn't just give you these things. To grow in these places, it takes a mature action to sit down in math class and actually learn it. There's a mature place that we all have to reach to sit down in class and really okay, how do I handle things emotionally? And this is why a lot of dudes on the internet be losing me too. When they speak on men and say men aren't supposed to be emotional and stuff like that. Part of the reason why I feel like a lot of men struggle with arrested development is because we were never really allowed to have emotions. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, shut up, don't cry. Shut up and be tough. Shut up, you're a boy. But here's the thing. At some point in time in a man, in a boy's life, you're going to have to be emotionally aware. But how were you aware of something you were never allowed to use? Let's think about that for a second. If every time an emotion arose within me, it was shut down, how am I going to be aware of this? So this is why it is very important for us to still, because a lot of us boys and a lot of us men, we're going to go through it regardless. So to do that work individually, because I tell y'all right now, once you have a daughter, right, and your daughter's feeling some type of way, You can't beat your daughter down with logic. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You can give her logic, but you can't lead with just logic. You have to meet her where she is and then give her the logic. You know, at the end of the conversation, here's the logic though, baby girl. Now, I mean, but you got to be able to be emotionally aware to be aware of how she's feeling, not just what you think of the situation. When it comes to once you're married, I mean, women go through cycles. You know what I mean? It's so many moments in your life that you have to be emotionally aware to handle a situation. I'll give you another one. If a man says something crazy to you and your family while y'all out, but you know you got to protect your family, you have to be emotionally aware in that moment. Because if you're not aware of your emotions, if you're not aware of how you're feeling versus what you should do, you can put everybody's life in jeopardy for somebody that ain't got nothing to lose. Aggression needs a lot of emotional intelligence. If you talk to anybody that has done any type of martial arts or anything like that, they will tell you that the person that loses is the person that loses this first. You know what I mean? You know, when people be like, when I get mad, I see red flag, flag on the play. Why are you seeing red? And why are you saying that as if that's good? The most emotional person is going to lose because you're not in control of yourself. Your emotions are. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't have emotions. It's just to be able to regulate our emotions. But for a lot of men, we are not able to speak towards our emotions because we're told we're not allowed to have them. So how does it come out? Anger. Men are supposed to be tough. Men ain't supposed to care. So, all right, boom. When I have anger, now, I mean, I'm allowed to have that. I ain't supposed to cry. Which I ain't never said I ain't supposed to, you know. So that's where we express it. A lot of men are sitting in a grave, laying in a grave right now, or sitting behind bars right now because that's the only emotion they understood. But let's keep going.
You interact with them and it's not like perfect or it's not positive or you're not like, you know, it's not making them comfortable. They always resort to very grade school behavior. They want to fight. They want to talk nasty to you and try to like hit below the belt about things that have absolutely nothing to do with why you're beefing. They handle it so immaturely and take it so farther than it needs to be because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. They don't know how to have any self-control, and they can't. That's the only way they know how to handle conflict. Mind you, I'm 29 years old, and I'm not saying ever in my adult life that I've always handled things maturely or I've always had it all figured out. I haven't. But this difference between me and somebody else is that I'm willing to sit and say, you know what? I acted an ass. I embarrassed myself. I shouldn't have handled it that way. Or, hey, there's been many situations in my life where I felt like I reacted emotionally. I reacted in a way where I could have, you know, communicated better. I could have handled it better. And I acknowledge that because I take accountability for my actions. But people like this, they will go their whole life acting like they're a 16-year-old child getting sent to their room. Through every conflict is high emotion, high angst and feelings, defensive, you're ruining my life, like type of mentality. And it's like, hey, I'm not your mom. I'm not the police. We're having a conflict. Take it down a notch.
And that's one of the reasons why people on the internet are so like, they don't take no accountability. You know, it's just a lot of women that's on the internet. We're going to be honest here. You know, if you're not one of the women, you're aware of these women that are out there. They do not take accountability. There's even guys that don't take accountability, but we see it a lot with the women on the internet. It's because they have not grown out of that childlike mindset to be able to put themselves in somebody else's shoes. One of the best things you could ever do in a disagreement with somebody, and when I say a disagreement, a moment of somebody has a perspective, you have your perspective, and it's not the same perspective. Some will call this an argument. In my past, my adolescence years, I would call this an argument if we have to go back and forth. It's not an argument. That's a disagreement. That does not mean it's time to jump on that person's throat. That does not mean that you're dumb and they're smart. They're smart and you're dumb. Or you're smart and they're dumb. Whatever. It doesn't, that's not what that means. there's a certain point in a conversation where you have to accept that our domestications, I'm gonna just give a little background on that word. It's where you come from, which is why you see the world the way you see the world, why you understand the world the way you understand the world. What you've experienced in life is what has cultivated the way you see life right now. That is different. That right there is different for everybody. Me, my daughter, my son when he grows up, my mom, my dad, my wife. Know what I mean? It's different for everybody. So there's a certain point in time in a disagreement that you have to understand that, okay, maybe our domestications got us seeing this differently. Maybe there is no us seeing eye to eye to this because there's something deeper than this conversation, but that doesn't say anything bad about you or about me. Maybe a book that you read got you thinking the way you think. Maybe a book that was in contradiction to what I just read got you thinking the way you think. So that's why our belief system is so strong. And you'll see this a lot in religion, which is why I'm not arguing with nobody about their damn religion. Allow people to just see the world how they see the world. And if you can't meet eye to eye, then okay, that does not mean you kick them.
My therapist calls this arrested development. And if you're new here, I am a diagnosed narcissist, so I have experienced this exact phenomenon right here, where she said I skipped a stage of emotional development in my youth due to the trauma that I experienced when I was younger. So I had to grow up faster than when I was supposed to. I had to grow up, so I skipped emotional stages. So that's why a lot of times when you're dealing with a narcissist, the quickest and the easiest emotion that narcissists experience is anger, because anger is easy. You don't really need a big reason to be angry and express that anger in rage and passion sometimes. The other emotions, the love, the empathy, all the other stuff is hard. It's harder to experience. And then, like, I can experience all that type of stuff, but I tend to push it away because it makes me uncomfortable a lot of time. So the last 4 years in therapy have helped me deal with the other stuff. So I don't express anger as much. I can process the other emotions a little bit easier. Hope this helps.
Narcissists are severely emotionally.
That was legit.
And a certified
That makes a lot
life
of
coach,
sense.
and I want to talk to you today about arrested development. Arrested development happens in the soul of a person when in their childhood there was some form of abuse or something traumatizing that happened to him. Arrested development means that their development was arrested, right? It was imprisoned, and they were no longer able to grow and mature in that area, even though they grew chronologically in that area, in that fracture, they were unable to develop. So there could be many adults, and I'm going to name a couple of symptoms. Now, this does not mean that every adult that has these symptoms has had arrested development in their childhood. These are symptoms.
Thinking about it from that standpoint of it was something that they missed in their childhood, it made me think about this when she said that. One of the hardest people to deal with, or one of the hardest things to realize as you grow up and become an adult, is that your parents aren't who you thought they were. That's not to say that they're not good people, but they're not the cape wearing superheroes that got the answers to the world like you thought when you were a child. It is very shocking to see the stage in life where your parents have an arrested development. And I feel like everybody has some type of arrested development because we've all been through something as a kid, right? But we it's a conscious decision once we're older to develop in that area. And I like the way she just said it, because I didn't even know it to be that. Your development at that time was arrested. That makes sense, right? But once you get older and you start to see your parents as adult peers, and you realize that they have arrested development, or they had arrested development, whatever, that is one of the strongest things, one of the scariest things to realize, because you really don't know what to do with it. It's like your whole world just got flipped upside down on what you thought it was. And then you want to be sympathetic for it, because it's like, all right, maybe there was something that you missed because of your upbringing is why you are how you are. But then there's another part of you that's like, now that I've realized this, I have to protect myself. how do I protect myself from this though? And that's why I think it gets, you know, but that I would say that's probably the scariest time to experience somebody's arrested development. Seeing it in your parents.
That I will be naming. So one of them with arrested development is lack of responsibility, unable to mature, unable to take responsibility for their actions, people who don't like to be committed in relationships for very long, or if they do get married, they get divorced within a couple of weeks or months. They like to throw temper tantrums. These are the people that you would say, you know, why don't you grow up? Why don't you mature? You're so childlike, you know. It could be something like that. Also, you know, maybe adults who have little trinkets or toys on their desk and they like to play with little things. Or, you know, a grown woman who likes to collect dolls or stuffed animals. Unable to maybe do daily functioning, like keep their room organized, keep their house clean.
Oh, this is severe.
Unable to kind of keep things in order sometimes because they struggle with a part of their soul that has been fractured off, and they're unable to mature in certain areas. And so some are very severe and don't know that they just need to heal certain areas of their lives. So if you feel like maybe some of these symptoms resonate with you, maybe you feel stuck, you're unable to move forward, maybe you feel like there is immaturity in your life, you're unable to make decisions, even if they're easy decisions, maybe you lack responsibility, maybe you feel like you can't be committed in certain relationships, you tend to run away from confrontation or confronting daily problems. Now, all of these symptoms don't necessarily mean that you have arrested development, but there can be issues in your childhood, usually under the age of 13, where you are stuck, where you have been fractured, where you have been arrested. So I will make a video giving some kind of help of how you could, you know, grow and mature and move forward in your adult life. Hope this helps.
The very last thing that I want to say before I end this video is that there's a big possibility that your arrested development is stunting your growth. I don't know who needs to hear that, but I felt that when it came to me. There's a big piece of your growth that needs you to address the arrested development that you have not addressed. And I mean, it can be so many things. For a lot of men, I'll give you a perfect example. For a lot of men, we can reach the highest heights in our careers. We can reach the best image in the mirror. But when it comes to women, we're very scattered brain. For some reason, we cannot mature when it comes to how to deal with women, for whatever reason. I'm not saying this is all men. Now, I mean, there's a lot of men like this. Just fill in the blank for yourself. And because of that, because of this is so scattered brain, it affects the things where you're trying to make positive progress, and you may not even realize it. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you did not grow in that area where you would deal with women the same way you're dealing with women now is the same way you should deal with women when you was in high school, you don't think that's affecting your growth? Same way you was dealing with women in college, you deal with women at 30, you don't think that's stunting your growth? And I'm using women as an example, but we all have the thing that we just have not grown past, and it is stunning our growth elsewhere. But I'm going to leave this video here. Now, I mean, so go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. There's so many people that watch me, and I really appreciate it, especially now that we do these daily uploads. I feel like I'm, y'all my homies. I mean, we talk every day at this point, at least Monday through Friday, and I hit y'all with a Sunday sermon. But so many people watch your boy but have not hit the subscribe button, so please hit that subscribe button. Road to 100,000. Now, I mean, we 30,000 away, and we're going to keep going from there. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to remember all 100,000 of y'all. Know what I mean? But like I say in all my videos, man, If you want to make some money playing games on your phone, all you got to do is click the link in the description below or the link in the comments below. These apps are literally paying people. These companies are literally paying people just to play apps and games on your phone. Some of the apps is even paying people to watch a Netflix series and you review it. So I found a legit website or whatever. All you got to do is click the link in the description below or the link in the comments below. Try it out. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you catch yourself making some money, make your money. Until next time, y'all, it's me, your boy, Ty Boogie. I'm out of here, man. Peace.